Hey guys, thanks for joining me for video 2 in a series of 12 videos answering the question, what in the world does Jesus have to do with my life today? And I want you to know that as I was coming up with this list of 12, at first I thought it would be shorter, maybe 5 or 6. Then no, I got to add this in, got to add that in, that's 10. All right, I got to 12. 12's a nice number, symbolic number in the Bible. I'll stick with 12. But I just want you to know these things are bubbling up inside of me. These are things that have truly changed my life, things that I have genuine faith and belief in. And, I think of what if somebody challenged me to come up with a list of reasons why I should really believe that Alexander the Great was a tremendous general, and so come up with a series of videos about why people should really believe in Alexander the Great or George Washington or whatever. I could probably come up with a couple, but nothing that truly bubbles up from the inside, and certainly not 12 without really grasping at straws. But these 12 things, they're bubbling up inside of me because this is very real to me and very powerful to me, and it's just something that in love I would like for others to consider. So if you are not a believer in Jesus, consider these things. If you are, let them ground you in the faith and maybe share them with others you know that don't have that faith yet. And so, anyway, I'm on to the second answer. What in the world does Jesus have to do with my life today? And it's the example of his life, the power of the example of his life for virtuous living. Wow, he lived such a powerful life that when I read about his life and think about his life, and how I'm supposed to emulate that life. I'm supposed to live a life in many ways with him as my example. The Bible makes this clear that he is our example. First Peter, second chapter, talks about Jesus as our example. Philippians chapter 2 talks about Jesus as our example. There's all these places that talk about his life as our example. So let's talk about his life. I'd like to read to you an odd little passage from the Bible. This is from Matthew chapter 4. And this was before the start of Jesus's ministry on earth, before he went around teaching and preaching and healing. He fasted for 40 days, and then he goes into the wilderness to be tempted. I'm going to be reading from the Tree of Life version of the Bible, which is a messianic version. It uses Jesus' Hebrew name, Yeshua, which is actually historically more accurate. So as I read Yeshua, just know I'm talking about Jesus. And some of the other Hebrew words I'll translate. Then Yeshua was led by the Ruach, led by the Spirit, into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If you are Ben Elohim, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." He replied, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him into the holy city and placed him on the highest point of the temple. "If you are Ben Elohim, the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it is written." And then the devil quotes from the Psalms. "He shall command his angels concerning you, and upon their hands they shall lift you up, so that you may not strike your foot against a stone." Yeshua said to him, "Again it is written, you shall not put Adonai your God to the test." Again, the devil takes him to a very high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, "All these things I will give you if you will fall down and worship me." Then Yeshua says to him, "Go away, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship Adonai your God, and him only shall you serve." Then the devil leaves him, and behold, angels came and began to take care of him. What odd temptations this may seem to us. What's the devil getting at? What's he trying to get Yeshua to do? And if Yeshua did turn stones into bread, what is the harm in that? Didn't Yeshua do all kinds of miracles? Yeshua was known as a miracle worker. In fact, in some of the ancient literature outside of the Bible that talks about Yeshua, it does talk about him being a miracle worker. So if he is a miracle worker, why couldn't he turn the stones into bread? Why couldn't he throw himself down from the pinnacle there in Jerusalem and be caught by the angels and thus make a show and let everybody know that here he is, the chosen one of God? Maybe the last temptation, of course, is pretty obvious, not to worship Satan. But what is the essence of what Satan is trying to get Yeshua to do here? He's trying to get Yeshua to use his power in a way that is self-serving. And Yeshua doesn't give in to that. He's not going to use his power to serve himself. Every miracle that is recorded in the Bible, every miracle that Yeshua worked, was for the good of others. The healing of the sick, the feeding of the hungry, the casting out of demons, of those who were possessed. Every act was an act of love. There's not one thing he did just to amaze people, even though he was asked to do so. Hey, show us a sign so we know who you are. Well, he wouldn't use any sign, any miracle, any power, except in love for others. And this is the type of life that we are asked to emulate in the Bible. We're supposed to be living a life of love. This is counterintuitive to the way we're born, right? I often say, nobody comes out of the womb and is automatically just stricken with this sense of love for mom, and just, I wonder what I could do for this wonderful woman who just gave birth to me. Right away, we come out of the womb and we are screaming for a blanket, and we're screaming for food, and it's just, we're just born self-centered. Now, as we get older, we develop a sense of empathy and a sense of compassion, but deep down inside, there's still that grasping of things for ourselves. In fact, sometimes all of us have used a show of compassion to get something for ourselves. Maybe we show compassion so that others will think well of us, or we show compassion so that we get something from others. How many of us have given a gift? Think about this for a second. We've given a gift, and then it matters to us what the other person does with that gift. Oh, I sure hope they don't exchange it, or if they tell me they don't like it, I'm going to be crushed. Well, who are we really giving the gift for? Is our main goal really to bless them, or is it to show, look at what kind of person I am, affirm me as a good person because I'm giving you this gift? And so, but Yeshua is not like that, right? He's not out to get mankind's approval. He's out to live a life of love, regardless of how that's going to make him look, regardless of the rejection that he might receive. Each one of us has got within us the potential to live that kind of life. I think very highly of human beings. I think very highly of our potential as humans. I think that Yeshua, I don't deny at all his divine nature, but he was fully human. And I don't believe that he did anything on earth that we couldn't also do. Now, we're going to fall short. None of us is ever going to be as perfect in our lives as he is. But the life he lived, we are capable of living. His love is extended through his miracles, through his service, sometimes through his toughness, through casting out money changers out of the temple courts so that they wouldn't take up space that was meant for people to come in and be able to pray. But the height of his love is shown in the cross, and the fact that he was willing to follow through on his mission from God, that he understood that his life and his death was for a purpose, and that purpose was for the good of mankind. If people know anything about Jesus, here we are 2,000 years later, if they know anything about Jesus, it's that he died on a cross. Even historians, even secular historians who don't believe in God, will tell you that we can pretty much affirm from history that this man died on a cross. And that cross became a symbol of everything he stood for. It's more than that, and we'll talk about that in later sessions. But for now, as far as his life is concerned, it's the pinnacle of his obedience to God. It's the pinnacle of his love for humanity. His death had a meaning, and he knew it. In fact, it was in Jerusalem that the forces that could destroy him existed. Okay? The Jewish forces, there were many Jews who loved him and followed him, but there was a contingent of Jewish leaders in Jerusalem who wanted him dead. There was the force of Rome in Jerusalem that had the power and the authority to kill him. And despite this, and knowing that his death was impending, he marched on to Jerusalem. He set his face towards Jerusalem, the Gospels tell us. He's going there even though he knows what awaits him, because he knows that his love has got to be exemplified and demonstrated by following through with the mission that comes to him from his Father. That mission is to die, and that death has meaning. His suffering and his death has meaning for mankind, that he takes upon himself that which we deserved, that he becomes our atonement. And let me get back to the question, what in the world does Jesus have to do with my life today? Answer 1 was the power of his teachings. Answer 2 is the power of his life. That he lived a life of genuine love. There was no mixed motives within him. Well, I'm going to give you a gift, but I really want to have a gift given to me in return, or I want to give you a gift, but I really hope that you see me as a kind person because I'm doing it. Or no, I want to give you a gift, he says. And the gift is that I'm holding nothing back from you. I'm giving you my life. Everything I say, everything I do, even to the point of death, is in love for you. And then he asks of his children, I want you to follow in those footsteps. We have to hold on to an understanding of the life of Jesus because there's no other example like it. It sets an example like no one else. And it's not just the cross, it's everything that led up to the cross. It's the fact that every word was spoken in love, even the harsh words. Every action was in love. Every feeding of, every miracle that fed the hungry or healed the sick was in love. So there's much to be learned from studying the life of Yeshua. Even if at this point you're not a follower of Yeshua, you're not a believer, you don't quite know what to think of him, you don't know what does it mean, the Son of God. I don't know if I can accept that. Wherever you are, I challenge you, study his life, okay? Study his teachings and see what kind of tremendous things can come. I hope you'll join me for video 3 as I talk about another reason, another answer to the question, what in the world does Jesus have to do with my life today? God bless you.